Louis from Radio Santa.
Santa Ana.
I thought somebody would like Santa.
Christmas one for Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. No elves?
Yeah, Santa Ana. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'll be brief. Could I just see kind of by a show of hands?
Oh, yeah, no, I can see it.
Just by a show of hands, how many of you stay in Santa Ana?
Right here?
Yeah. Yeah. Several. Most. Anyone from Anaheim? Anaheim. Okay. Garden Grove. Anybody? Costa Mesa. Okay, mostly Santana, Anaheim. So our community radio, I think there's enough of these to go around. I'll wait till the compañero's done handing out his flyers. But so I invite you all to two things. One, to listen to our community radio. I don't know how many of you have already heard that we have a community radio on the air locally on 104.7 FM. And speaking of human rights and the international movement for human rights, community radios are something that, at least in Latin America, have been completely connected with community movements in defense of human rights, especially in indigenous communities, especially in urban neighborhoods. So the reason we know that we need a community radio is that so many people like yourselves are doing really great work and have such important stories to tell, but we don't necessarily have access to the media the way that we should. And that's why communities have found it necessary to create our own radios. In other communities, people have started their own TV stations and things like this, their own newspapers. I see some of you are documenting or live streaming. That's really important for us to be able to share all of the work that we're doing so that more people who maybe can't be here today hear about what's going on. So I'll go ahead and pass these out now. You can help me out. Maybe just grab one, pass it around. So one invitation is for you all to hear Radio Santa Ana. Again, the whole point of our community radio is to get community voices on the air. And then the second invitation is we are in big need of more community reporters. There's so many different types of events like the ones that you all are announcing today that we believe more people should know about them. And we don't have enough volunteers to be at everything. But what we do is we like to go to these events. I'll usually try to do 1 or 2 quick interviews, and then I'll bring that back to the radio, and we'll teach folks how to edit. And we learn in a real simple way how to put together a simple radio segment on whatever particular event or protest or city council meeting or just an interesting interview with someone from your community. So we turn that into radio segments so that we can put that on the air as well. And if any of you are interested in getting involved and learning how to get important voices from your community on the air, please feel free to approach us. You can ask me for my personal information, or also just reach us through the radio. I'm not sure if this has an email on it, but I'm glad to give you all my information as well. And that's it. Unless anyone has questions about our community radio.
How long has the community radio been in existence? This is the first time.
It's new. We've been working for about 4 or 5 years as a collective. And so we started our online radio about 4 years ago, and so you can hear us actually anywhere on radiosantaana.org. And the FM signal went on the air this year in June. So it's relatively new signal. It's something called low power FM. And it was actually a law that was passed in 2011 called the Local Community Radio Act, which created an opportunity for community groups to get on the air. But so we submitted our application then, and it took us this long to finally get on the air in June.
You broadcast 24 hours?
24 hours, yeah. It's a lot of music, because we think music is also an important way of bringing people together, and sharing good music, local artists, and things like this. But we also invite people from the community to do their own programs live, and so we have programs throughout the week too.
Just a clarification, how much of what you do is at least bilingual, if not multilingual?
Good question. So it's multilingual for sure. Most of our programming is in Spanish, but we also have programming in English. We also have programming in a native language from Michoacán called Purépecha. And our agreement is that we want to be a multilingual community radio, so we invite people to produce radio in whatever language they feel most comfortable in.
Right.
So if you want to do a program or a segment in English, even when I do an interview, the person will just respond in whatever language they feel most comfortable. So it's definitely a multilingual radio. Thank you for that question.
I just really want to say with Radio Santa Ana, they're just very welcoming. El Centro is very, sorry, I can't roll my R's, but they're very welcoming. And so that's where they're located. That's where they're based. And so it's not that far from us. I really appreciate Luis coming down to really speak on Radio Santa Ana because it's just right down the street. 837 Ross. Yeah, it's just right there. So, the whole community, everybody there is just very welcoming, and just, we're all in this together. We're all helping each other out. And so, with all the organizations, announcements that you have, or just anything, just really come to your local community and say, hey, we need this out there. Like, help us out, And so that's what we're really willing to do with the community. Yeah, with the radio. It's boo-boo, for us, by us. So,
that's right.
That's what it's all about.
That's right. That's actually our motto at the radio. It's de la comunidad para la comunidad. Same idea, for the community, by the community, for us, by us. And I want to thank Jordan for inviting us today, and for being part of the radio, being a volunteer producer also, and for inviting us today. I think we're definitely on that same page, trying to be more connected as community groups and build these tools that we have to bring in the next generation of youth and organizers who who can keep this work going. Because we know that the fight is still a long fight. So we gotta be ready to share our stories, and learn from generations and generations of folks that have been in the struggle for that long, and also offer tools to our communities to be able to keep that fight going. So thank you for listening.
Okay, so is there anyone who needed to speak, who had something that they wanted to share, and your name was not read because we tried to make sure that we marked everybody who was going to? Going once?